This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Partlow Art and the 52-week art challenge. This is week 5 with Mama Neff from Partlow Art and the fabulous jaki-terry, where every week we are talking about process, our artistic process, our practices. Every week I make a new work of art, which is my challenge. And what else? And we talk.
And I talk, yeah, and we talk.
And we talk about process, and we talk about the things that are important to us as artists. So one of the things that we decided to do is to focus on scene and script analysis, which is one of Jackie's great loves. Jackie, you want to lead us in? So let you lead in, and then I'll pull up the video. How's that?
Okay. Yeah. One of the things I learned, one of my scene study professors in school, professor, she's now professor at UNLV. Her name is Norma Saldivar. Shout out to Norma. Thank you. You were a tough cookie, but I loved you. Two things she taught me in school is to always look at movies. Which and initially I was like, I didn't come to grad school to study movies, but let me shut up and follow where she's going with this. Most brilliant thing I've ever heard. Now that I've done it, now I don't know how not to do it. And the second thing that she always says is you should never ever look at a movie. I don't care if you've seen it 100 times. Should never be able to look at a movie and not make a new discovery. So I always, when I am studying film and I'm studying actors, I'm looking for the nuance, the point of entry, the physicality, their through line, their verb. What did they want in that particular front scene, and how they pushed through to get it to the other side. And it's nothing more titillating for me to see two really fine actors motivate each other in a scene. It's one of the things about grad school I think I missed the most was that part of the process.
Yeah.
So you said you had a clip?
Yeah, without further ado, let's pull up this clip to begin that conversation, go deeper into it, just to illustrate what you've just said. I'm going to turn this on. This is a scene from the film Fences, written for the stage by August Wilson. And this is starring Viola Davis and Denzel Washington. Okay. And take note. I hope the sound is good.
I'm not getting any sound.
Okay. You're not hearing the sound?
Are you?
Yeah, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to go here, pull it back. All right, do this. So thank you. Always the technical stuff. Thank you all for your patience as we navigate this. So let me see. As I do this, I'm going to share sound. And maybe this will do it now. Okay.
Okay.
Looking at her though. Wait a minute. Okay. Snot, tears, and
baby.
Maybe that was on purpose. Maybe that was on purpose. Like, just look at
There's
that.
a backstory to that. I heard Denzel share it with Viola on stage. They were doing some talk back on this. As a matter of fact, you can find it on Netflix.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So
it is nothing more thrilling to me to see somebody willing to get ugly for the craft, honey. Yes, bring it.
Go all the way there.
Bring it. Bring all of it. Yes.
So I'm about to share this again, and just let me know in the at the uptake if you can hear it. Okay.
We ain't talking about baseball. We're
Can you
talking
hear it
about you
now?
going off and laying up with another woman and bringing it home to me. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about no baseball.
You're not listening to me. I'm trying to explain it to you the best way I know how. It's not easy for me to admit that I've been standing in the same place for 18 years.
Well, I've been standing with you.
Yes.
I've been right here with you, Troy. I got a life too. I gave 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as you. Don't you think I ever wanted other things? Don't you think I had dreams and hopes? What about my life? What about me? Don't you think it ever crossed my mind to want to know other men? That I wanted to lay up somewhere and forget about my responsibilities? That I wanted someone to make me laugh so I could feel good? You're not the only one who's got wants and needs, but I held on to you, Troy. I took all my feelings, my wants and needs and dreams, and I buried them inside you. I planted a seed and watched and prayed over. I planted myself inside you and waited to bloom. It didn't take me no 18 years to realize the soil was hard and rocky and it wasn't never gonna bloom. But I held on to you, Troy. I held you tighter. You was my husband. I owed you everything I had, every part of me I could find to give you. And upstairs in that bedroom with the darkness falling in on me, I gave everything I had to try and erase the doubt that you wasn't the finest man in the world, and wherever you was going, I was gonna be there with you because you was my husband. Because that's the only way I was gonna survive as your wife. You're always talking about what you give and what you don't have to give. But you take too, Troy. You take and don't even know nobody's giving.
You say I take and don't give.
Troy,
you
you
say
hurt me.
I take and don't
Troy,
give.
you're hurting my arm.
I
Let
don't give
go.
you everything I got. Don't you tell that lie
Troy,
on me. Don't you tell that lie on me.
Troy, you're hurting me. Troy, Troy.
All right. That's strike two. You stay away from around me, boy. Don't you strike out. You living with a full count.
Oh,
See, that's one of those
first of all,
movies.
as an audition piece, yeah. If you really wanna, if I wanna go into a room and I really wanna like, y'all ain't even gotta look no further. I'm who you looking for. Yeah. But the thing about that role is you gotta be willing to go there. And I love Rose Maxon. I love the way August Wilson writes his women. He don't write no soft women, honey.
Not at
No, he does
all.
not. In 10 plays, he never wrote an apologetic woman. And I love that about him. Granted, his plays are normally about women, about men. But when he writes his women, they strong. And they stand up for themselves. And but this particular role, I remember Denzel and Viola did the talk back on this one. And it was beautiful because he said Viola's entry point was so proper and so prim and so New England. He's like, nah, that ain't what I'm looking for. And actually, if you read the text, this is where the analysis comes in, the script don't lay down that way. It doesn't lay that way. I mean, this is a straight up knock down, drag out, which you mean you got another woman, and this is some real life stuff. So it requires for you to be able to get real honest with this character and where she is and how she's feeling. So she had to, Denzel had to push her. So
Can you
I'm like, okay,
imagine having to push Viola? Ooh.
Well, that part of that too is getting out of your comfort level, because even though that may not be your personal lived experience, the quote unquote magic in the script is not the magic at all. It's in the codification of the text. The text will tell you what to do. Period. You just need to read the text and the whole body of what's going on in that particular scene. Actually, if you just follow the story. You know, Troy's real selfish. I hate to say it. Troy Maxon is a very selfish man because, you know, he made some selfish choices. He let life pass him by. So, yeah, in this particular scene, he has to stand here and tell his wife of 18 years that he's had an affair.
And a child
Now,
come.
and a baby on the way.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, this ain't a time for getting prim and proper.
What I love also about that scene is how August Wilson shows us what a breaking point looks like.
Yeah.
And he shows us
Good.
not only what a breaking point looks like, but how that and it's rare. It's like he captures, and which is a part of his genius, those rare moments in the lived experience, in the human experience. But in that particular moment, in that scene, he shows us someone at their breaking point, what a breaking point looks like and how you come out of it on the other end.
Actually, he does it in all his work. He does it in Joe Turner's Come and Gone with Harold Loomis. He does it in Ma Rainey with Ma Rainey when she's cussing everybody out.
Which scene?
Oh,
is that the one toward the end or during the session? Is that the one during the
right?
session?
She's had a couple of breakthroughs a couple of times. And she also has some very introspective moments by her understanding the absolute nature of, she knows how the game is played, and she knows where she fits in it. But as far as getting Sturdivant and Irving checked, she ain't had no problem going there.
She did. She really did. Let me tell you who's in charge of this session for real.
Okay, all right. Now I don't care how much money you spending. This is what I want, and this is how I want it, and y'all need to make it happen and done. Period.
Or I ain't singing.
I ain't singing. Okay, I can take my stuff back on down to Georgia. I ain't like I ain't working. But he does that with all his women, and he does that in all his scenes. If you ever read his work, he plays his women. There's always a breaking point with one of those characters where they just get raw and vulnerable and transparent, and they lose it.
And you had that scene where they lose it, come out on the other side of it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because sometimes folk just got to get told. And I like that kind of honesty in the work. I like that kind of honesty. It was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But did you pay attention how Denzel was in it, even when he didn't have words?
Yes. That facial moments want to say something, but and how he was taking all of that in that one scene where you just see his eyes actually droop. And the fact that they shoot it, which was him, it was his directorial direction, his directing over the shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's not only just because the camera's not parallel, but it's like over his shoulder and it's a slant to it. So you see her and it's like, wow, what a brilliant choice for that.
Absolutely.
Because he's in the foreground, his shoulder, part of his body is in the foreground in most of that scene, but it's blurred. And it's all about like beyond this big figure, like that metaphor, and crystal clear on her in this moment. Yeah, that's just all kinds of just visual language going on there.
Not only that, but like, where did she have to go to find that kind of rage? And sometimes it's an easy process to do. Sometimes you have to go into places that have triggered you at some point and use it. But this one, when I see her do anything, she knows how to get to those places where the nerve just gets hit.
Yeah.
And let's run with it.
There's a lot of rage there for sure. But I think that the rage came before the scene.
It has to.
And And for that character, for Rose, that the rage probably came, there's that moment, disappointment, like this stark, devastating disappointment. And then the rage. And she's been holding all of that in. And so for me, that scene is, yes, there's rage, but there's the thing that is also that she presences when you finally speak it.
Yeah, because the thing with that particular scene is Troy wants to make baseball metaphors. And you ain't talking about no daggone baseball, man. You just laid on me.
But
okay, now
yeah.
I kind of sort of low-key knew you was tipping, but now you gonna tell me on top of all that it's a baby on the way? We ain't talking about no daggone baseball. What you talking about? So rage was a build. It didn't just
But that courage it takes to finally say everything.
Yes.
You've been wanting to say, and then in that moment, even the more of the truth comes out, it just. And so for that character and reflecting on those own moments in my life, it's the rage, but that thing when you finally, because a scene later, 2 scenes later, she finally tells him, we will never sleep together again.
Ever.
So ever.
Not only that, the little girl's mother dies and she ends up raising her anyway.
Yeah. And it was like, cause there was that moment she has the baby. And by the way, we'll take her in. This child, she had nothing to do with any of what happened. And so it was this courage, this sovereignty that rises in her. As devastating as a woman it is to hear that scene and to witness that woman. It's also a very triumphant scene, I think.
And you also have to take into consideration when the storyline takes place. This takes place in the 1950s. So when she finally got her whole quote unquote piece, said how Troy grabbed her because you've just attacked my manhood. So here comes Corey running out the house. But wait a minute, you just attacked my mama. So that whole scene just broke up. So now we got a shift going on. But yeah, that was his way of gaining back into the piece too, because
his control.
Come on now,
to get physical.
It's
That's the only thing he could do. That's the only thing he could do to get
every year. That's it. But it's 1950, whatever it is, and I'm still the man in my house. And I don't care if I slept with 1,000 women, you're going to respect me because I pay the bills.
And if I got to get physical with you to get you to get that, I will. And that triggers because she stood up and stepped into her full sovereignty.
Absolutely.
It's just
so yeah, when you do that, when I'm trying to think of another play that happens in the piano lesson, Bernice.
Yes.
When she finally has her breakthrough. So like I said, he doesn't write weak women. In not one play I have ever read, and I've read all 10.
He writes grown ass women.
All day.
All
full. They're not delusioned by romance. They're not starry-eyed and hopeful and whatever. They've been there, done that. And then put up a lot of men's foolishness, so they don't have no problems putting their hands on their hips and letting you know what time of day it is. It's one of the beautiful things I loved about Mr. Wilson. And the one time I got to talk to him before he passed in 2005 is one of the things I did get to ask him was why didn't he write plays for women? And his reply was because it's enough women out there doing that kind of work. Have you read Toni Morrison? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. National Black Theater Festival, 1997. And I was like, he's like, no, if you want to meet my counter who writes women like I write men, then you need to read Toni Morrison. So that
All
was
day
the first
long.
time I heard that. That was the first time I heard that. So one of the things I had to do as a writing project in school was write about, I made a compare and contrast between Beloved and Joe Turner's Come and Gone.
Whoa. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because they're in the same era.
Same era,
Post
dealing with the same
Reconstruction.
subject,
Yes.
dealing with the same subject matter.
Same time, early 1900s. So the same.
Absolutely.
And similar geographical demographic. Yeah, so that would have been in
Well, his Joe Turner takes place in Pittsburgh.
that's right.
Beloved takes place in
In
Ohio.
Ohio, right. And
Yeah,
so
so yeah.
these burgeoning new sectors of towns, Black enclaves, where Black
Exactly.
people had gathered and had come up through that first wave of the
Great
Great
Migration.
Migration, those towns and those places where we were learning as Black people to be together.
Exactly. And the thread that brought the two of them together was that whole issue of compound prison leasing.
Yes.
Because in both the stories, Paulie D was in a chain gang.
That's
Harold
right.
Lewis was in a chain gang.
Mhm.
So that whole finding of self during that Great Migration, and that whole new way of finding how to emasculate Black men.
Mhm. And how
And
they brought that in with them and had to live with that in the process of just finding their footing in a whole new social context, but all of that trauma that they endured in that period, especially in the case of Paul D, the sexual abuse, the rape.
Even with Harold Loomis. Harold Loomis demonstrated it too, although I think for me, when I got to lay them side by side, I wish Wilson would have gotten into it a little deeper. But it did get expressed. And again, it comes to the codification of the text, because the manifestations of the trauma came out in Loomis's personality. Even though it was not charted out and spoken about, Loomis came away, well, what we recognize now as PTSD. He was definitely post-trauma. His whole actions, his whole demeanor was very, very much post-trauma.
Yeah, because we can look at that now and see it clearly.
And he wrote it clearly. So it's in the text. So it's interesting when you sit in those kinds of spaces and you're unpacking the scene. What is the text telling you? How is the text directing you? How is it informing you as an actor? And what's your through line? What's your point of entry to that? How do you come into that space? What's that physicality looking like? How are those words hitting you? And what kind of choices are you going to make when you make choices? That part of the process is always intriguing. And it's no wrong. It's discovery. It's constantly discovery.
Yeah.
Until you hit that spot where it resonates real for you as an actor, and it resonates real for the person you're playing opposite.
Yes.
And then that's when the work starts. Oh, baby. That's when it gets, we get to play now. We get to put the book down. We got the lines there in our head already. Let's get it in our bodies. Let's get it in our muscle memory. Let's play. Let's play.
Yeah.
Till we find that thing that just works. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question about that, because it's like, especially looking at the script, and the role of intuitive investigation, looking for what's between the lines, because there's always something between the lines. And so, that approach, is it there for you as you're reading, or is it cyclical? What is your process with script? Is it like read this first and then you go back?
It always comes down to getting in script. And for that, there's no. First, you read the script for the story.
Mhm.
Always, for me at least, I read the script for, because I want to know. I don't want to just know where my scene is. I want to know, how do I relate to everybody else? Because at the end of the day, what I'm doing is an ensemble piece. It's not the Jackie-Terry show.
Mhm.
So I'm only as good as the rest of the people around me that support what I do. So where do I fit in the story?
Mhm.
And what's my role and my function in the story? Then after that, yeah, the nuances start kind of come out when you bounce back and forth in between that French scene or series of French scenes.
Mhm.
And it always comes down to three things. What do I want?
Yeah.
What do I want from the other person? And what am I willing to do to get it? How
Mhm.
hard am I willing to push to get it? And with full understanding that the person I'm playing opposite has the same objective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exact same objective. So, yeah, let's
Mhm.
let's chop it up. Let's see what it does.
Yeah.
But the ahas come in the exercise.
Yeah.
And that's what I say, some of the best work you'll see in theater never hits the stage. It's always in the process, in the rehearsal. Because
Yes.
that's you're feeling it. You're finding it.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
You're finding it. You get to come out
That
of the
part.
scene and go, okay, what did you get out of that? Let's try that again. I didn't believe it, you know.
Mhm.
Let's just go back in and we just gonna work it
Yeah.
until we find that thing that just compels the both of us, or until the director says, yes, set that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because whatever you did, they liked it.
Mhm.
So
And
it's like,
whatever
okay,
you did, we felt it, and everybody in here felt that. So yeah, set that. That's a good. It's a good point to pause.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's a good point to pause. Um, Pick back up next week. The magic, I think, and we remember this, the magic of when you get to that point and doing
Oh yeah.
scene work with another person, that magic and that process, and things you hear about other actors talking about, other actors being so generous, and other actors being this,
Oh
and not
yeah.
being, not ever knowing what they're going to do. I heard that something about that recently with an actor talking about another actor, and it's like you got to be ready because you never know what they. So this will be a good segue into that for next week.
Yeah. I have a delightful story to share about my work with Antonio Fargas when we did Ma Rainey down at Black Rep in
Okay.
St. Louis. He was a very generous actor. I absolutely was honored to share stage with that brother. It was,
Yeah.
got tired of him taking my money and tonk, but that aside. But tearing my little quarters up, honey. It was
I know that's
that
right.
aside. When it came to doing the work, he was very generous, and I learned so much. That was a great
Well,
8 weeks I got to spend with him.
if you have any pics, any stills of that, let's bring
I
those.
got one picture of him and I and a brother named Ron Connor,
Okay.
who, if I were to ever to write a book on a famous August Wilson actors, he would be among that number.
Wow. Okay. Bring that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Whew. I'm excited. I'm excited. Let me show this week. So I had a week. You see that?
Oh yeah.
So this week for me was extremely challenging physically, emotionally. I wasn't feeling well at all. And on top of that, just dealing with a serious tsunami of depression, which I've been dealing with since 1989. And over the last few years, it's just managing. It seems like it's come back with teeth. So I am teeth and claws too. So I am moving my way through that. And one of the things one of the most important things for me to do is to remember, no matter what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling every day, to touch something, right? And so this week, the piece that I'll show you evolved from this. This 52-week challenge is about not only creating really new pieces, but also reimagining certain pieces. So this is a piece, it's called The Cosmic Lineage. It's a multimedia piece. It's actually 2 feet wide by almost 4 feet. Poster. It's currently showing in the Hamilton Gallery, or somebody snatched this up as soon as we put it on the wall. So I'm glad my
Wow.
friend Joy Finney. But this is a example of reimagining a piece and noticing when maybe it doesn't work. Like I said, I needed to do something this week. I'm going to blow this up. So what normally people don't see is that this is the cosmic mother. This is my illustration of the cosmic mother and the cosmic moon space. And if you can see these pieces of paper, this is a bunch of tissue paper. It's like a ½ inch, almost an inch of tissue paper below this circle here. And I wrote on there, it's just Akashic records and numbers, like just numbers of pages that go on and on and on and on. And then down here is a mixed media piece.
Looks like Africa.
So it's like Africa coming out of her stomach. And this is mixed media, some fake foliage and so forth. So there's a lot going on here that you can't see. Like, for example, when I started, if you can see here, I wrote on here. I just wrote.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So this began as a blank page with just writing on it. And then paint, and then her, and then, you know, and there's this record here. It's 45. I saw the image, but I couldn't figure out how to put this 45 up here because it's talking about records. And so she holds the records of all humankind, right? I had to melt some of 45, and there are lots of elements here, beads and cloth and lace. That's lace right there. That's covered up. No, that's
looks like ribbon too.
Ribbon.
Is this ribbon? Yeah.
Where I just kind of lace that together. Yeah, paper. There's paper. This is actually some material here. So it's a lot going on in here. Let me go. It's a lot of detail. And so the one thing I was able to bring myself to do, and I'll change this view, because here's the thing about the process too. No matter how we're feeling, for me, I don't know about y'all.
Okay, it's fading out when you move that up.
Oh, let me take this off. So for me, making things that, you know, we get to call art is a lifeline. So there's the card I made, another card. I'm still with the card. I'm still kind of fascinated. So it doesn't quite work for me, but making things is not about, for me, perfection at all. You know, it's about meeting that script. For me, the script is just the raw. You know, it starts off looking like this, right? And meeting it and leaning into what's there. And going through the process, working it and following an idea and seeing. So this week it doesn't work for me. Excuse me about that. But it may at some point, I don't know. I may put beads on it. I need to brighten up the color. The point is though, I did, through all of that depression this week, I did something. I got something done. So I'll sit with this week to see, is this something that I want to also reimagine or even consider, you know, because I think sometimes whether we are working visually or on stage or with music, in terms of scale, And so we've always got to consider how the audience will perceive what we're doing. You know, it's like this, like playing to the back row. Will they get all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
detail right here? Is this in service to that? So it's also a process for me once I come out of it, because I immerse myself, I just immerse myself, I come back and it's like, can this be a vehicle for conversation with someone else? The conversation I'm having here, do they get it? And not so much get it as in understand literally, the literal. I want people to have their own experience, but do they get the pieces? Can they see it? So yeah, that's what I managed to get done this week, and I'm really happy about that. Thank you all again for showing up for us. Thank you, Jackie, so much. Y'all come back.
Thank you.
Continue this compelling, wonderful conversation in the context of process about scene analysis, script analysis. And thank you for that too, because a lot of what you said now gave me a new approach to a blank page. There's something already there and it's inviting, you know, just the texture. There's a texture, there's sizes, there's a medium, and leaning into like, okay, so what possibly, what is going on here? Well, what do I make of this? How do I enter into this blank page and bring forth something that hasn't existed before, which is what we all do every time we go into that space, whether it's with a script and interpret it, you know. So that's it. Thank you so much. Come back again. Grateful. Oh, yeah. Please remember to give us a thumbs up. That helps.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, please subscribe and notification button. And please, please, please leave us comments, ask us questions, you know, as we continue to grow. We're just getting our feet in our, we just finding our pocket and our groove. And so as we grow and grow and grow in what we're doing, we would love to have some questions from you all that we can answer and address. So till next week, much love, much love. Peace.